So essentially, I've got to do 3 calibrations on this machine for each setting for it to be fully calibrated. Now what you have here is your angle left and angle right. And this is going to be your angles or your bends. No radiuses, just your bends and your percentages here. Now 0.01, 0.05 is a fractional, so it's almost like you're not even going to be, it's imperceptible. So what you want to do is you want to left click, hit select all, and I would suggest unclicking everything beneath 1.0 and everything after 100 degrees here. And once you have that, you hit run, and it's going to start spitting out pieces. And it's very important that you keep the pieces that come out in order as they come out. Now I've got the pieces ran, and as you can see, you have a different style here. These pieces are longer, and you have 10 hits. The machine's going to give you 10 hits because from 0.1 of an angle, or 1 degree angle, all the way down to 9.4 or 10 degree angle, it's almost infinitesimal. So what the machine does is it gives you 10 hits, and you just find the middle part and divide that by 10 and then type the number in like this. Stop it. Now this piece is going to be your first one. It's going to be 1 degree. That's 1 degree of 360 as far as in a circle. And because it's so small, the machine gives you 10 individual hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you want to find, I use a fine point Sharpie, and I'll go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in between those hits, that way you have an even amount of space on either side. I'll draw a line here just for visual reference. And the machine does that because 1 degree is very small and very hard to see. So it multiplies it by 10, and then you use your protractor. As you can see, it's pretty much flat. And you want to line that mark up with the center of the protractor. As you can see, I'm at 2 degrees, but it's supposed to be times 10. So this is really going to be, instead of 1.0, it's actually going to be 0.2. So once you do that, on the line that you just, the first one here, it says 1, you highlight it, and then it says what it's supposed to be, but then you type in what it was. So this would be, instead of 1 degree, it would be 0.2. And now it's changed. And you repeat the process per piece. I've separated the pieces here to show you that you're going to have up to 10 degrees, you're going to get pieces with 10 hits on them. And once you get to 15 degrees, you're going to get smaller pieces like this, because 15 degrees is a lot more visible, and it doesn't need 10 hits, you just have 1 bend. So this being the one for 15 degrees, on this you just measure it outright as it is. Whatever the protractor says is whatever you put in. Instead of with these with 10 hits, like the first one I did was supposed to be a 1 degree bend. It was 10, we measured it, it was at 2 degrees. When you divide that by 10, it's actually 0.2. Here, once you get to 15, much more visible angle, you don't have to worry about doing that. You just read the protractor and whatever it says, and that's what it is. And I'm sitting at 12 degrees, so on the 15, I would highlight it and type in 12 degrees and hit enter. Done. All right, now here is a piece. I've used the piece that's supposed to be a 10 degree bend. It's a little bit more dramatic. You can see the lines a little better. And again, I've drawn a line here in between the 5th bend and the 6th hit here, just to make sure I've got equal distance, and it gives you a visual reference to go by when you're using your protractor. And you want to line that center between the 5th and the 6th bend up. with where these two lines intersect on your protractor to get an accurate reading. And because it's a 10-degree bend, which again is very small, it gives you 10 hits, and I'm sitting at, this is supposed to be 10. If this was 10, actually on the money, this should all be all the way here at 100. Because you divide that by 10, you get 10, so you're 10 degrees. But as you can see, we're setting at right around 78. So when you divide that by 10, it's going to be 7.8. And that's the number you would hit. You put in, hit enter. And you would repeat this process with each piece. Again, the smaller the angle, the more you're going to have, where you're going to have these longer pieces with 10 individual hits. Once you get to 15 degrees, it's just going to start spitting out these small angles. And again, make sure you keep everything in order, because if they get mixed up, you're going to put in the wrong number in the wrong area, and it's not going to calibrate properly. Now here we are in the arc portion, which would be your radiuses, or also you could think of it as your radiuses for your slots. Your numbers here will tell you what size of a slot or what size of a radius the piece is supposed to make. This column here will tell you what degree the bend is supposed to be. So all of our pieces that are about to spit out should be at a 90-degree angle. I bring up this column here because in ruling, we go to 1/8 of an inch is about as small as we go with a slot, and very rarely do we have anything higher than an inch. So we'll have, I'll once again select all, but I'm going to unselect these smaller and these larger ones, just to make sure that I'm getting what we use. If you want to do all of the sections, that's not going to hurt anything, but this will save you a little bit of time, because often you got production going on. So if you don't need to do it, it can save time. If you got to do a quick calibration, you can just make sure you get your main ones, and that way you can keep the process going. You're not holding up the rule guides, and you're not holding up the floor. So now we've got our sizes selected. We're just going to hit run, and it's going to run out all your pieces. Again, keep your pieces in order. You mix them up, you'll get your numbers mixed up, and we're going to measure them. And what we're looking for is each piece to come out at a 90-degree bend. So once you put in on your angle left, once you put in all of your correct calibration of measurements, what the pieces were, you're going to hit interpolation and then save, and then move on to angle right and do the exact same process. Correct. And once you've calibrated both angle left and angle right, and you've hit interpolation and save on both this window and that window, after you do that, you want to go back to angle left, hit apply angle arc, and save. Angle right, left click, apply angle arc, okay, and save. Then you move on to your radiuses, or your arc. That's it. All right, running the arc calibration, I've got my pieces right here. This is from 3 millimeters to 25 millimeters. This is essentially what an 1/8 inch slot would look like if you open it up to 90 degrees. 3 millimeters being close to 1/8 of an inch, exactly being 3.175. But what you're mainly looking for with these pieces is to see if they're at 90 degrees. As you can see, this one is. So once you've measured it, you've got it, it says 90 degrees. You go to your window, 90, and all you do is hit enter. And then move on to the next one. And repeat the process, 90 degrees, hit enter, all the way down. Once you put in all of the correct measurements from the protractor on your radiuses bending to the left, all you want to do is save. And then you move on and repeat that same process for your radiuses bending to the right. And what you're looking for is at 90. If they're not at 90, you just type in whatever it was. And then once you're done, You hit save and then exit run. You can also repeat the process again just to make sure that it's calibrated. I would suggest if your pieces are especially on your radiuses, if you're shooting out pieces that are supposed to be 90 degrees and they're coming out to be 160, 180 degrees, or not, well, probably not 180, but 120, 30 degrees, or way less, 70, 60, or 50, you might have to run the calibration process twice, just to make sure you've got it dialed in to where you want it. Just as a note, I have a manual here. This is very handy to have. It has everything I just pointed out. Some of the stuff I learned from working with technicians, and others I just open this up, and if you read this, you can find out all that information as well. So I would suggest that every rule processor operator have one of these. If you don't, contact whoever can get it and get you one. It'll help you out immensely. Like I said, this is the whole manual for everything you need to know about calibrating the machines. And again, this particular one is for a rotary bender, but the principle and the process is the same for the straight benders as well. So if you just have one calibration guide, that's all you need.